Hey, what's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. Coach Carroll here. In the fashion of this week, we're going to do some throwbacks, and this is probably the video you're about to watch is one of probably the most. Trying to think of the best way to put this. Probably one of the most influential business coaches or people that I've ever worked with. His name's Matt Manero. You guys may have known him from the Attack and Conquer boot camps, but this was a interview several years ago, about a 30-minute long interview. I think you guys will really like it. Matt's going to talk about how he built his $100 million a year company, and we just kick it and hang out for a while. So this one's a pretty cool interview. Let me know. Leave a comment down below what's your favorite part of the interview, and if you've seen this one before, let me know that as well. Love to hear from the people that have been following me for a while. So enjoy this interview with Matt Manero.
I remember it. Just vivid. I remember exactly where I was. I said, "You realize we have $10,000 saved up?"
Yeah.
$10,000. And she was like, "Wow, that's amazing." And then when it got to a mill, it was like it was nothing.
Hey guys, I'm really excited today. I've got Matt Manero on the podcast. A little different than normal. Normally you guys see me when I cut right in with the introduction, but Matt and I had some amazing conversation prior to really starting the show, so I really want to kind of give you guys some behind the scenes on this. Matt is a great mentor of mine. I really look up to him. He's got a huge finance business, has taught me a lot, so I hope you guys really enjoy this interview and enjoy the behind the scenes uncut stuff.
Spend enough time realizing that your version of well is nothing compared to some other people's version of well.
Right.
Because the money is moved, man. I mean there's a lot of money out there.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you have to sit down and think, what is it, like 16 trillion now is in circulation, and it's like, I mean, that's a lot of money, man. That's a ton of money. Yeah.
You know, Cardone says it best, right? He says if you went out in the marketplace and you got your 5 mil or your 10 mil, whatever that number happens to be, no, but it doesn't impact anybody.
Right.
It doesn't. So go get it.
Yeah.
Go get it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's 100% correct, man. And I remember when I graduated high school and started Easy Pro, little $300 Walmart push mower and Walmart weed eater, and I was like, man, I'm gonna start a business. I'm not going to college. I turned down all these football scholarships. I'm gonna do this shit. And you know, all I can remember is like, all I wanted to do was $500,000 a year. I was like, holy shit, man. You know, my dad worked for the city of Indianapolis. My mom sold insurance when I was little. I was like, if I could do $500,000, like if that could flow through my bank account in 1 year, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I remember like the day that it happened, it was like sometime in November, we hit it for the end of the year. And I'm out of the office, I like run outside and I'm like, I don't know what the hell I was expecting, a parade or something, but it's like nobody gave a shit. It's like, go back to work. Like it didn't mean anything. And I was like, this milestone that I had put out for 6 or 7 years that when I finally hit it, I was so excited. And
yeah,
it was like,
then the guys called and says the mower broke down and we need a new mower.
Right? Like, I don't give a shit what you're celebrating, dude. I need some new mower blades, right? I'm like, well, shit. Same thing when I hit millionaire net worth, millionaire status. It was like, I hit that and I'm like, yes. And I'm like putting it on my social media and everybody's like, okay, cool, man. Like, what? I mean, you want a cupcake or something? Like, what do you want?
I don't know how this comes across if we want to talk about something like this, but I remember saying to my wife, I remember it just vivid. I remember exactly where I was. I said, "You realize we have $10,000 saved up?"
Yeah.
$10,000. And she was like, "Wow, that's amazing." And then when it got to a mill, it was like it was nothing.
Yeah.
It was like the 10 grand meant more.
Oh yeah.
Because it just, you're coming off of zero, and then the next big level, you're like it's not enough.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think if you're truly an entrepreneur, I remember I had an ex-girlfriend tell me one time once we broke up, hence the ex. She said, "You know what, DJ? You'll never be happy because nothing's ever good enough for you. You always want more." And that killed me at the time. But now I'm like, that's right. I do always want more. Like, who doesn't in the right mind? Like, always want more. Like, you should want that. And it's like, people get so caught up. And it's like, you know, when you say that to somebody that doesn't understand it, they're like, well, DJ, money isn't everything. And like, that's always their response. And I'm like, oh, because if you had $1 million in your bank account, your family wouldn't be happier, right? You couldn't. I mean, dude, I bought some flowers from our current girlfriend, here a few weeks ago, and I was leaving Kroger's. We live in a small town, and the bagger, he was just like kind of giddy and smiling and stuff. He's like, oh, here you go, DJ. He's like, you're DJ Carroll, right? And I was like, yeah, man. And he's like, oh yeah, hey, here you go, man. Have a great day. And I think he might have been like a little autistic. But I was like, you know what, man? I pulled out a $20 bill, and it's not a whole lot. But I was like, you know what? You keep hustling, dude. You're doing good. I was like, that's great customer service. And he just kind of looked at me, and I'm like, just to be able to have that to give to somebody, $20 changed his day. And it's like, I would just, if I was Bill Gates, I would just walk around and just hand out $20 bills to everybody because he could do it for the rest of his life.
Have you ever had that kid say, "Oh no, I can't take it"? Have you ever had that where you try to give like the kid who brings the groceries to the car, you give him like 10, and he's like, "Oh, I can't." I'm like, dude, take the 10.
Right.
You're not too good to take the 10. Take the 10.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Yeah. I'd rather you take this handout than Uncle Sam's handout. You know what I mean? Keep hustling. So, well, cool, man. Let me do a little intro here.
Love it.
All right, you're watching the Sales Factory today. I got my man Matt Manero on with me here. Matt, good to have you, brother. Long time. I know we've been working together here for a little over a year or so. I got a show on CFF Nation and get some more episodes up there. I'm sorry, it's Road Grit TV now, right? Yeah, big syndicated deal on Apple TV and stuff, man. Doing big things. Welcome for stopping by, and why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself if they don't know who you are in commercial fleet financing.
Look, I'm happy to be here. It's absolutely my pleasure. I mean, my company, Commercial Fleet Financing, started 21 years ago from zero, one-bedroom apartment, phone, folding table, and a yellow pages. We now done over $1 billion.
Love
we did $104 million last year. Our growth plans are go to $1 billion a year. We're probably the largest independent finance company in the transportation space. We finance big rigs, bulldozers, tow trucks. And, it's been a long, hard road. I like to say that we're now on the pleasure side of business, but boy, we lived in the pain side for a long time. And I think people need to understand that business is not about, what so many people on social media think it is, man. It's a grind, and it's a grind for a lot longer than most people understand. You know that, DJ. Your success didn't come overnight. It comes from the grind.
Yeah, man. And, and that's the thing. I'm going on. I've been out of high school 9 years now, and it's like people see Easy Pro and they see these other businesses and stuff, and they're like, oh, man, you're doing so great. And I'm like, yeah, but I remember, and Matt, see if this is the same for you, man. I remember the pain stuff more than I remember the pleasure stuff, right? We were just talking about stacking cash and stuff, but it's like, I remember all the stuff that went wrong way easier than I can recall all the good things or the big deals that I sold.
Yeah, but remember, too, though, those problems don't go away either.
Right.
I mean, they enhance, right?
Yeah.
We now in our growth phase, I mean, some of the challenges that we're facing now in this next phase are serious.
Mm-hmm.
These are serious problems, right? I mean, do we really have the infrastructure, the technology, the management team to go from 100 million to $1 billion? And if we don't, well, it's not now, for us, just small little increments.
Right.
You're talking, it moves at tens and hundreds of thousands of dollar clips. So, those problems don't go away. It's just hopefully you as the leader have grown to be able to deal with them better than typically when we were just getting going, right? I mean, hopefully we have evolved as a management species to get better at dealing with these things, but they don't go away.
Right. And, that's, I always, I try to tell people that it's painful. Like when I love going and talking to high school kids just because I started my business straight out of high school. So I don't think that, I think there's plenty of entrepreneurs across America in high school right now that just need a little bit of encouragement, but I also need people to understand that not everybody's made to be an entrepreneur, right? Like we were just talking about the evolution of our species. We all have a job to move us all forward. And the problem is, somebody loses a job and it's like, well, I think my job now is to be an entrepreneur. And it's like, no, not really, man. And unfortunately, a lot of times they don't find that out until they're 3, 4, 5 years in. And, their wife's done left them. They've ruined their family. And it's just like, man, you weren't cut out for this. And I hate that for people. But it's not easy. And then, like you said, with the undercapitalization, that's goes hand in hand with Zig Ziglar's thing. It's every small business owner knows that, like, all the failure rate, and the number one reason why businesses fail is undercapitalization. And it's like so mind-boggling to me now to look back and go, man, this would have been so much easier if I had $100,000 sitting in the bank. I'd be where I was at year 9, at year 3. Because I just didn't have the capital to do that. And then that's where the grind comes from, man. When you don't have the money, you got to have the grind.
Look, the old days are very emotional for me because, to think back, I often wonder, could I do it again? Mm-hmm. I often wonder, could I really endure that much pain again for the length of time that I had to endure? I think you do, right? I think if you do it once, you can do it again. Right. But you certainly also understand, as what you and I all heard when we were coming up. But people say it's much harder to have had money and lost it than to have never had money. Right. And it's true. Yeah. And so now what you try to do is how much do I need to hoard and how much do I need to go? Yeah. And I'm 47 years old and I still have as much passion for my businesses as I ever have. So I'm willing to go all in again to get to this next level. But I'm certainly getting a lot of people chirping in my ears, saying, I don't get it. Why are you doing it? Why you're there? You won. Why are you doing it? And it's just not enough.
Right. It's like winning after the third quarter. It's like, no, the game's not over yet. Right.
And I can't take my foot off the throat. I can't. I just, the minute that creeps into my head, the minute I say don't stomp, I have to say I have to stomp. Yeah. I work out of desperation 21 years later. I still do. Same level of desperation as I did. I mean, I gave my wife a kiss in bed this morning. I was gone. Boom. Boom.
Yep.
There's no sitting around, wondering what's for breakfast or anything. I mean, I hadn't eaten today. I hadn't done anything. I got to go.
Go. Yeah. I'm with you, man. I was the same way. I took Daisy for a walk this morning. I get back, I get dressed, and I'm like, let's do it, man. I got Easy Pro going. I got the gym. I got to interview Matt Manero, and then I got a real estate closing this afternoon, and then I got to go check on my jobs in Louisville this afternoon. After that, it's like I got a million things going on, man. It used to crack me up when I was little. The common thing was like, oh, I'm bored. Like, I haven't said I'm bored, and I couldn't tell you how long, right? Like, when people, like, put that shit out there, like, I'm bored, I'm like, then you don't have a life, because there is so much to do in this world.
I think this leads into a real good takeaway, though, for your listening audience, though. One of the key things is you have to fill the calendar.
Yeah.
The idea of looking for ways to have free time and white space is BS. You need to fill the calendar. I sent my assistant, Sarah, the calendar for today, and she replies immediately. She's like, I don't have half of this stuff on your calendar. I'm like, that's right.
That's right. Add it on.
You just manage my calendar. I fill my calendar. Right? That's how it goes. And I said, it's your job to figure out how we're going to make all this work.
Nice. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is that when I do presentations and stuff and I'm coaching people, I've got a screenshot of my busiest week I've ever had. And it was during holiday lighting season. And literally they were 15-minute appointments with 10 minutes of drive time. And they're just stacked, man, for like 7 days. There they are. And I was like, you know what? That was my most profitable week I've ever had in business. And it's like I aspire to get to those every single week. And, nothing, perfection never shows up. So it's like I never have those weeks every single week. And that's my biggest thing, Matt, is like I try to be real with all my guys because I think with social media, it's a highlight film. And I think so many guys, because it used to happen to me until I realized, all right, stop comparing yourself to the highlight film. So many guys will look at these other people on social media and be like, man, I can't do it like them. I can't do it like them. And they have to realize that there's days that me and you are like, I'm burning this motherfucker to the ground, right? And you go home for the day, and it's like, all right, that's not going to work. I got to get back in this thing. It's right. It's not all butterflies and rainbows every single day.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that Christmas tree lighting scenario because that must have been an enhancement to your landscaping business, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you said, I have these customers who trust me, now I can overlay this new service on top, right?
Right. And it was white space in our schedule, man. October to December, there's no snow yet, and we're not doing anything. It's like my guys are sitting around like twiddling their thumbs. I'm like, let's figure out a way to make money.
So then you do that, and I imagine the customers are like, great, good value add, all that sort of stuff. But then the competition creeps in, right? And now I bet there's tons of guys doing Christmas tree lighting. So so then what do you do? I mean, how do you figure out, how do you keep it going, right? Because there was probably a couple of years where you were like first to the game.
And we're still it's huge in Texas and Florida, Minneapolis and California, but in the Midwest, man, it's still kind of fresh. And honestly, being number one on Google helps us, and then just I'm so jacked with Facebook ads right now. I cannot wait until Christmas season, because we're actually going to start advertising in July this year. Christmas in July, book soon, boom, let's do it. So
I've seen you say that though recently on social though, how impressed you are with the impact of Facebook ads.
It's our residential power washing, right? So like I've actually got rid of all the lawn and landscape, did a merger acquisition deal with national franchise, and so now we're just focusing on exterior cleaning only. It is my only source of leads. All of my marketing budget, I cut out all the postcards, I cut out all the other bullshit that was from 1950, 1970, 1980, and I'm like, it's 2016, let's get there. So now instead of competing on Google like it's 1998 to 2002, I'm over on Facebook. So when grandma's scrolling and sees her grandkids, and I'm doing this because grandma's got an iPhone now, right? Grandma sees her grandkids in her church group, and then she goes, well, son of a bitch, that's a dirty house and a clean house. Who's these guys? My house looks like that. I'm going to give them a call. And then guess what, man? I'm selling this year at a 30% premium because I'm not competing with anybody. Yeah. I'm the only person that gets the call. So, my big thing is dominate, right? Nothing else matters. Like, if you can't dominate your market, then you might as well just stop. Like, those guys are like, oh, we can all get along. Like, I network with a lot of guys throughout the United States. But you best believe, man, if you're in my close nearby territory, I got you blocked on Facebook. You don't see my shit because I'm coming for you. And that's why I love your grit, man, because it's like, that's what it is. It's business.
Dude, it's another takeaway, though, for the audience here, which is you can't be all things to all people. Well, I work in 4 industries. That's it. I work in trucking, towing, construction, and moving. In those 4 spaces, my team, everybody knows it better than anybody on the planet. But if you need an oven for your Subway sandwich shop and you call me, I can't help you. Right. I don't know anything about that. Now, it's a huge space in my market, right?
Right.
People are financing furniture for hotels and refrigerators I don't know anything about that. But in those 4, we call them silos, watch out.
We got it, man.
I think it's a big takeaway, man, that people need to understand that there are riches and niches, and you've got to have the guts to get into that niche and dominate it, because being the jack of all trades just doesn't get paid anymore.
Absolutely. Well, let me do this. Normally, I know we're already 20 minutes in. We'll just keep rolling this. Normally, it's like, let's give the audience 3 things, but they better get a notepad because there's way more than 3 things in this video. So with that, the riches and the niches, I saw a quote one time from Ben & Jerry's ice cream that says, we don't need everyone to like us. We just need some people to love us. And I think that goes above and beyond. And up until probably this year, I was just like hustle. That used car sales guy. It's like, I just need to make the sale and pump them out. Get the new ones in, pump them out. And this year it kind of switched. And I was like, you know what? No. I for the longest time, I was like, God, I hate customer service. I just want to sell. I just hate customer. Hello, I'm in a service business. And if you can't service your customers with great customer service in a service business, you're in trouble, man, because you're always going to have that turnover. And our referral rate this year, Matt, has went through the roof. And it's just that once you switch that over, man, and that's the thing, is like, you can still be the pit bull on the bone and like, I'm going to kill it. But when you get those customers in to be able to slow down and show them that attention, man, I just think it goes for miles.
I'll give you a perfect example. I was on the road last week, and we have a swear jar in my office, right? Because it got a little out of hand in our office, right? And it's not for everybody. I mean, look, I'm in Texas, you're in Kentucky.
Yeah.
A little bit of the Bible Belt for both of us.
Yep.
And not everybody wants to work around people dropping F-bombs and stuff like that.
Right.
And I recognize that in my office. So we made a change to the employee handbook that addressed foul language, and we put a swear jar in on the conference table.
Nice.
The swear jar got built up to $111
in 2 days.
No, it was over some time. But while I was out last week, one of our guys created a competition that said to our operations people, the person who writes the most thank you cards to our customers will win the pot. And do you know, we had, I think the winner wrote 130 something thank you cards to our customers, but second place was like 125.
Nice.
So when my operations manager came in and told me that yesterday, I was so proud of everybody that I went ahead and matched it for second place.
Right.
So think about it. For $111 times $222, we probably put out 600 or 700 personally written and addressed thank you cards to our customers.
Right.
Dude, that's the best money you could ever spend.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
On top of the cultural thing where they attempted to win, they win, and they get paid. Ops just picked up an extra $100-something that they didn't have in their pocket for writing letters. It's the concept of, Coach Burt talks about mining your acres of diamonds, which is your existing customers. Mm-hmm. It's so important.
Yeah.
And most of us, hard driving guys like you and I, we forget about it.
Yeah.
And for us, we as a company have probably done a pretty lousy job of it over these years. Mm-hmm. And just like you, we've recognized we're tapping back into it.
Yep.
And, it could be, if you do it right, it could produce 60, 70% insurance policy that you'll do the same number next year as you did this year, just working your acres of diamonds.
Yeah, I call it hedging your bets. I mean, it's great. And, that's the thing. What we do is we, just for the people that are listening so they can kind of pull, because I always like to give them, the education, but then actual tactics. Because the thing that I hate more than anything is if you go to a seminar or you watch a podcast or something, and they're like, oh, well, here's all this theory that I came up with, but I have never done this shit, so hopefully you guys can figure out how to implement it, right? Like, those are the worst people to listen to. So what we do is at the end of every month, we do a print-off of all the residential jobs that we've done. And then so my office manager sits down and she hand writes them out, and it just says, hey, thanks so much for letting us serve you this month. It was a pleasure. Keep us in mind in the future. Also, we've included 2 magnetic business cards. One for your refrigerator, one for a friend or family member. Have a great rest of the year or whatever. And so at the end of every month, those go out. And what happens is I think guys try to get overcomplicated with systems in their business. It's like, no, man, pull the report, spend a day, and it's done. Go back to hustling.
Very high value activity that so few people do. Think about it. When was the last time you bought something and you actually got one of those in the mail? It almost never happens.
Never. Yeah. The only thank you letters I really ever get are from speaking at the schools. The schools will the kids will send me things saying thanks for coming in. And I'm like, that's great that they're teaching them that. Because there's a lot of bad stuff they teach them, but it's like, that's great that they teach them that. But yeah, you're right, man. It's crazy. What about what do you think was your biggest hurdle to overcome growing your business? Because you're on and guys, Matt's being very humble. Like, you're on the Inc. 5000 list, correct? Multiple years. Yeah. So
100. We won the Dallas 100 last year, fastest growing company in Dallas Fort Worth. I mean, we've done some amazing things, but I wasted a tremendous amount of time. To answer your question, I literally didn't understand scale.
Okay.
And nobody taught me scale, right? People taught me stay small, stay under the radar screen. They taught me trust no one, particularly your employees. They said one hand only works the register. All that stuff is bullshit.
Right.
It's not true.
Yep.
If you want to run a real business, you have to trust people. You have to build a team. You have to focus on company culture. You don't want to be the one-person cabinet maker, man.
Right.
There's no glory in that BS anymore. You need scale.
Yeah.
And that was the thing when I understood that, when I had that breakthrough. By the way, it took me 16 years to understand that. I didn't know that I was building a business in which I could suck as much cash out of that business to benefit my family. I wasn't building a legacy business. I wasn't building a balance sheet business. I wasn't building anything that was sellable.
Right.
Building a personal money machine for me. Mm-hmm. And that was wrong. And so for any of these entrepreneurs who are truly in it for how much they can suck out of their business, I would challenge them against that, because you can do something bigger and more impactful and more meaningful for your employees, for your vendors, for your customers. And then back to the Zig comment, you begin to win that battle. But you may have to lose that battle. Look, there have been a number of years where my number one sales guy made more money than I did.
Man, Matt, I wish I could tell you how many guys that I've talked to that have big businesses say that. And I always followed up with this. Is he still making more money than you now, Matt?
He is not.
That's right.
Well, he's making a lot of money, but he's not making as much as me.
Right. And so it's that thing, and it all comes down to this word, sacrifice. Right? And I don't think everybody wants to be the entrepreneur. Everybody wants to grow the big business, but then they don't want to put the sacrifice in, right? And so, like, I got a lot of backlash from me early on out of the power washing industry that was like, well, yeah, DJ, but man, you're at $500,000 revenue. What do you mean you're already out of the field and all you handle is sales and marketing? Like, how do you got 5 guys around? It's like, well, man, I only made like 28 grand this year. And they're like, what? And how many hours you work? I'm like, I work like 16, 18 hours a day. They're like, for 30 grand a year? And I'm like, yeah, but I know that, I don't know, it might be 5 years, it might be 10 years, but it's going to be all right eventually. And, here I am now. And they're like, well, man, how'd you buy this, $500,000 gym? And it's like, remember that power washing business I told you about? So it's that sacrifice to be able to put that business before yourself and your own interest. And I goofed up, man. Early on, I bought boats and I bought a Harley, and that was me, right? And it was just, I kind of sat back and I looked, and I'm like, you know what? I'm doing the same thing that these guys that work in the factories and stuff that are making 80, 90 a year. I'm living that lifestyle, but it's dead end. If I keep doing this, I don't have the cash to grow my business, and this is as big as it's ever going to get. And that scared the shit out of me. So I was like, liquidate. Let's go back in. And now it's all like, I don't need to have a big boat or a nice car or anything like that. I want to be able to pull up my phone and say, hey, let's compare PayPal accounts or bank accounts, right? That's what I want to be my trophy toy.
Look, you need a good support system, though, to pull that off, too.
Right.
Because there were many times I would come home and my wife would be like, how'd we do this week? And I'd be like, we didn't do so well. And she'd say, what do you mean? And
I brought bologna home.
I didn't pay myself this week. That's what I mean. And she would say, well, did you pay your employees? And I would say, of course. And she'd say, my wife would look at me and say, what's the matter with you?
Yeah.
How can you do that to your family? How can you do that? So you need a real support system. And by the way, that story I'm telling you wasn't a support system. My wife was mad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She was pissed. But I was young. I didn't understand what she was mad about. She was mad about what most women get mad about. They want security, man. Mm-hmm. That's what they're looking. They want to know that the roof is going to be over their head and there's going to be food in the fridge. That's a core need.
Right.
Of wives.
And I take pride in that, man. I've never missed a payroll, right? And I've had to go pull money out of my own savings account, out of my own checking account, put it back in the company. But it's right here, man. It means so much that my guys didn't miss that payroll. You know what I mean?
2 things I can say in 21 years in business. Number 1, I never missed a payroll, and I never changed a comp plan on a guy, ever. That's why my number 1 guy makes so much money, because I've never, in 15 years he's been with me, I've never changed his comp plan once. And there are very few industries in which top earners can say that, because once that guy reaches the top, management comes in and screws him over again, right? Yep. 2, I never missed a payroll in 21 years in business. I never I missed payroll to myself, but never my staff. And I never changed a comp plan ever.
Yeah.
And by the way, in my office, I pay every Friday. I pay twice as much to my payroll company as I need to, because I want my guys to get their money.
Paid every week. Yeah.
Every Friday.
Nice, man.
Not on the 1st and the 15th or twice a month. I pay every Friday.
That's awesome.
My accountant comes in and says, well, you realize we're paying like an extra $5,000 a year to the payroll company? I don't care.
Yeah. I
want my guys to get their money.
That's cool, man. Well, cool. I know we're at the end of the time here. We're at 10:30. I know you got another appointment backed up behind this, man. But I really appreciate it. We're going to have to do it again, because if that flew by.
We could go. You and I could go. We could talk.
Yeah, that flew by. So we're going to have to chunk out. We'll have to do a special 1-hour segment of the Sales Factory. But Matt, we appreciate it. How can people find you, man?
So it's easy on Twitter or any social media. It's Matt Manero. The name of the company, again, is Commercial Fleet Financing. We finance big rigs, bulldozers, tow trucks. We work nationwide. We like good credit, so we have a tagline that says your good credit deserves our great rates. We're not a subprime lender. We want people who run successful businesses, because I don't want to do one deal. I want you to buy one dump truck through us, and as you grow, because you know what the hell you're doing, we end up doing 50 for you.
Right on. Right on.
Again, that goes back to that niche thing, man, to have the confidence to say, this is the people we choose to work with, So that's it. It's mattmanero.com is the website, and then it's Matt Manero on all social.
Cool. And you got tons of stuff. You got your podcast out there. You got the book. Is your book on Amazon? Or how do you get the book?
The grid is only on mattmanero.com. I have the new book coming out in the fall, which is called I Need More Money. That got picked up by a major agent and publisher. The agent is called Dupree Miller. They do Tony Robbins, T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen, Dr. Phil. That was a big win for me.
Absolutely, man. Congrats on that. I'll put the links down here in the below the video on the YouTube channel, and if you're listening on the podcast, make sure to write us a little review here about Matt and check him out. Matt, appreciate it, man. Thanks for stopping by. Hey guys, it's Coach Carroll. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you click right here to subscribe to the channel to be notified when we drop new videos. Over here's the video that I recommend you watch next. And last but not least, over here you can click to get my free book, Phenomenal Phone Calls. We'll see you in the next video. Here's to your success.